Dressed in white, ears in sight, ready and prepared for a fight. Axe in hand, whiskers set. Better watch your back or you'll be hacked by the Bunnyman. There are a few different versions of the story of the Bunnyman. The most known one is about an insane asylum losing two of its most dangerous patients. After the Civil War, an asylum was built in Fairfax County. It was 1904, and many people didn't like this. Due to public outrage, the institution was shut down. To properly close the building down, they had to transfer the patients. While on the bus heading to their new location, the bus crashed and quite a few patients escaped, hiding in the woods surrounding them. Most of them, except for two, were found: a Marcus Loster and a Douglas Griffin. The local authorities were able to track them via half-eaten bunnies left about in the awkward trail that led them to a tunnel bridge that crosses a wide creek. There they found Marcus hanging from an entrance with a note on his foot that read, "You'll never find me, no matter how hard you try. Signed, the Bunnyman." After this, the tunnel was named Bunnyman Bridge. In the end, officials were able to catch up to Griffin, and during their attempt to apprehend him, he escaped and was hit by an oncoming train. They say after the train passed, the police heard laughter coming from the site. Another version mentions Douglas Griffin was institutionalized for killing his family on Easter Sunday, adding to the odd obsession with bunnies, though it is not mentioned that he wore a suit himself. If he did, one has to wonder where he got it from. You don't see random bunny suits sitting around, and they don't exactly let you keep such items back in the early 1900s in mental hospitals, especially for killers. Anyhow, years after his death, approaching Halloween, carcasses are said to be found hanging from the overpass and surrounding areas, and occasionally a figure can be reported being seen by a passerby, though I couldn't find anyone who's claimed to this myself. It is also said that if you walk the way down the tunnel around midnight, especially on Halloween, the Bunnyman will grab you and hang you from the entrance of the bridge. Again, there is no proof of this. There was a very real body found nearby the bridge as of April 18th, 2018. Though I don't know much more than this, I know for sure it can't be any Bunnyman. For one, spirits can't harm someone so drastically unless they are the Bell Witch, and if Griffin did survive, he would be well over 130 years old. Here are a few other claims that have said to have happened when visiting the bridge that I have no proof of but have found rumored around. A young man from Clifton, Virginia came upon the bridge. Later, he went home and killed his parents, dragged their bodies into the woods, and hung them from the bridge before killing himself. 1943, 3 teenagers, 2 men and 1 woman, visited the bridge on Halloween night. They were later found dead, hung from the bridge with their bodies slashed open like a common hare. Notes were found on their foot that read, "You'll never catch the Bunnyman." 2001. After hearing the tale, 6 local students and a guide searched the area where they found mutilated bunny parts during their search, and left the forest after hearing noises and seeing figures moving around the woods. It was around midnight on October 10th, 1970, when an Air Force cadet named Robert Bennett and his fiancée were driving back from a relative's house after a football game. They were on Guinea Road in Burke when they parked their car next to a field. Seconds after, they noticed something moving outside the rear window. Not too long after, the front passenger window was smashed, and there was a white-clad figure standing near the broken window. Panicking, Bennett turned the car around, while the man screamed at their car saying, "You're on private property and I have your tag number." As they drove away, they discovered a hatchet on the floor of the car. Mr. Bennett described the assaulter as a man wearing a white suit with bunny ears, while his fiancée said he was not wearing ears but instead a white capirote of some sort. Regardless, they both could see his face, but in the darkness they couldn't tell his race. The police would later return the hatchet to Mr. Bennett after examination. He also had to report this incident to the Air Force Academy. There was a second report that occurred 10 days later on October 29th, 1970. When a construction security guard, Paul Phillips, approached a man standing on a porch of an unfinished house in Kings Park West on Guinea Road. Mr. Phillips said that the man was wearing a gray, white, and black bunny costume and was about 20 years old, 5 feet and 8 inches tall, and weighed approximately 175 pounds. When approached, the man began chopping at the porch post with a long-handled axe, saying, "You are trespassing. If you come any closer, I'll chop off your head." There were investigations into both incidents, but they were eventually closed due to lack of evidence. The following weeks, more incidents occurred. More than 100 people contacted the police claiming they have seen the Bunnyman. This could be where the legend may have been taken from and hugely changed. 22 minutes from Fairfax, Virginia is Reston, Virginia. There is a road that leads off of to Sunset Hills Road where they say is a house called the Bunnyman's house. Supposedly one night a man dressed up in a bunny costume shot his wife and kids and then opened the door to tend to trick-or-treaters as the corpses of his family laid still in the house. Though this particular story has different variations to it, the thing that this one has in common is that he enjoys killing children and wears a bunny suit. Though the Bunnyman legend has spread its roots in Virginia, little does anyone know about the true history of the bridge that is so infamous. During the Civil War, the bridge was a location of a train station owned by the U.S. military. The track had been one of the Union's main supply routes in the region. Attacks on the bridge and stations were common. Such skirmishes occurred at the train station next to where the Bunnyman Bridge is. The name at the time was Sangster's Station. Honestly, my opinion is that it was a small event that escalated as high schoolers and college students wanted to scare their friends or girlfriends. At the time of the real events, there was development and growth happening in the community. Newcomers were moving in, and the locals who lived there for years upon years were very displeased by this. This would often result in violence and threats. It was during this setting that the events of Bunnyman occurred to begin with. This doesn't go without cause that there was many missing people and unrecorded murders back in the 60s and 70s, but probably have nothing to do with an escapee from an asylum that didn't even exist. Let us even bring up the fact that a surprising amount of people who live on the road or nearby the bridge have never heard of the Bunnyman legend at all, making way that those who lived there for many, many years or even their entire life didn't hear about something that could make their street, bridge, or even town infamous. When you think of London and its scoundrels, immediately Jack the Ripper comes to mind after all. And if the story or legend is true, this Bunnyman has never been caught and has killed, hung, and ripped open many of the teenage souls. To add on to this, one University of Maryland researcher, Patricia Johnson, wrote a 1973 folklore paper entitled The Bunnyman, in which she interviewed 33 students and found that only 3 of the 33 actually mention anything to do with a murder. What do you think? Is the Bunnyman real, or just a real event exaggerated into a legend? If you'd like to support this channel, feel free to check out my Patreon and become part of the family. I create videos on cryptids, serious killers, abductions, hauntings, and much more. If you can't support me there, please like, comment, and subscribe here. I've also added my PayPal out of request.